What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, I want to join in on this conversation of how rivalries can change, grow, help or hurt the sport of disc golf. And I think there's a fine line of a healthy rivalry and then just players talking trash to one another with an intent of drawing attention to themselves and that other player. And I think that can be good in certain cases, and I think it can be very bad in certain cases. But I want to play a little bit just to premise what these guys on the Grip Lock podcast, Trevor and Hunter, talked about, and then I'll give my input.
Paul fan, when I was like first following disc golf, I didn't like Ricky. Only because I didn't have a reason to not like him.
But that's so good for disc golf.
I'm not saying it's not good for disc golf. I agree.
I wasn't saying that you disagree.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's what disc golf needs.
I want more rivalries.
We need rivalries. Like, you have to thrive on it.
People need to start talking trash. I need to see Nico LaCastro hop into those like Pro Tour.
You want to talk about some trash.
He needs to hop into those like Pro Tour interviews and just start calling out players like by name.
Nico in a Pro Tour interview called out all the comments. I loved that.
Nico.
I loved that.
No, the Pro Tour.
And he said the keyboard warriors need to just, like, they'll never be good at disc golf. They'll never, like, I loved it.
He's good
that,
for sport.
Like, that's the type of stuff that we need articles written on. We need deeper interviews. We need, like, that's a storyline.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't there a headline on Ulti World the next day? Nico LaCastro calls out all disc golf fans.
See, that's what I'm saying. He would have really got attention if he had, like, said Greg Barsby's breath stinks or something. Like, I want direct call-outs.
So I think the direct call-outs, they have a time and a place, and I think only certain players should have the ability to call out other players. And I think we should see this for players like Paul, Ricky, Calvin, James Conrad. I think when, players are asked about, why they think they won the tournament or whatever the case may be, let's say Calvin Heimberg inches out James Conrad at the end of a tournament, and Calvin Heimberg can, they can say, well, what about your game today made you able to beat James Conrad? Calvin could say, yeah, I found myself scoring on every forehand hole, and if James Conrad wants to be able to beat me more consistently or have a chance against me, then he's going to have to develop a forehand game. That's not directly saying that James Conrad has stinky breath like Trevor's saying, or that he's directly calling him a bad player, but it's like directly calling out a part of his game, which will then not only motivate, James Conrad to learn and perfect a forehand, but it's like he's saying things, but it's true, but it's also a call out. And that's like a way that players can, stop being so buddy-buddy with one another. That's not a great example because those guys are on the same team. And as far as people who are sponsored by the same company, they should be rooting for each other, and they shouldn't really be rooting for the players that are sponsored by other brands. So I think what the Pro Tour could do and what the sponsors could do is incentivize teams for all playing well. Like if Innova takes first, second, third, or 2 of the top 5 or 3 of the top 5 spots, they should get a large incentive or a large bonus, like a team bonus. So then that's going to help those guys band together and be tighter with one another and pay attention to one another and call each other out more, which is going to motivate each other to play a certain way and to play more aggressive and fight for those couple spots in the top 5 or the top 10. And then it's also going to cause them to root against players from other sponsors. And I think that would be a really fun way where we can bring in the sponsorship and the team aspect into disc golf. And I think that would be a really cool way for us to see how the sponsored players can band together, and how, we can not pin them against one another, but motivate them to root for their own team and root for their own sponsor, and encourage their teammates to get better. And then also have rivalries going where it's like, man, if Paul Macbeth takes first, but then Innova takes, second, third, and fourth, Paul's going to come out and be like, they're going to ask him in an interview, how come you're getting first and then the rest of your Discraft teammates are outside the top 10? And he says, I don't know, these guys got to step it up. All I can do is work on my own game, and I want to see my team do the best. And obviously, the Innova guys are playing really well right now, and we need to find an answer to where we can start beating these guys more consistently and start taking advantage of the team incentives that the Pro Tour would have set in place in this scenario. And I think that would be a really fun way for us to see rivalries in a very healthy way, and then you'll see more people choosing a team and choosing a side. Because right now, if you have Paul and Ricky in a tournament, pretty much everybody is rooting for both of those players to win. And I think to have a healthy sports rivalry, you want people to be rooting for a specific team. All the great sports rivalries, you know, the Lakers and the Celtics, the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Bad Boys, like those rivalries, those guys were not friends, and the fans were not fans of the other team as well. And I think that would be a really simple solution to fixing the rivalry situation in disc golf. I don't think it's as simple as players just calling out other players for attention, but I think the sponsors should get behind it and incentivize their team to make some of these changes and to incentivize them for all coming together and beating the other team and the players from the other sponsors. But let's listen to a little bit more and then we'll do some closing thoughts.
It doesn't happen like super often in sports. Every once in a while, I want it on social media too.
But I don't even think it comes from a player. Like,
because I want to see a card get announced and be like, oh, that guy and that guy on the same card, they can't stand each other. Like, that's about to be
so what
heated.
sport does that happen in other than UFC?
Well, there's like team rivalries.
Yeah, but like who?
In golf, there were players who did not like each other very much. Tiger and Phil, they're friends now, but back in the day,
How could someone not like Phil?
They did not like each other at all.
The more I watch Phil, the more I love the guy.
There's a reason Phil Mickelson was never in any of the Tiger Woods video games, because Tiger
That's so funny.
And Tiger really didn't. I think it was like one of their caddies, like Phil's caddy, did not like Tiger either. But like
but I just think stuff like that, we need to focus on it. Whoever's like, we need to find
Whoever
rivalries
makes it
and we
interesting.
need to exploit it
well, sure.
and milk it for all it's worth.
Oh yeah, I remember
Let's
like
create a rivalry right now. Kevin Jones hates James Conrad.
he could never.
No,
James
they probably
Conrad's
love
too
each
nice
other.
of a guy.
They're both too nice of a
Yeah.
guys. I just picked the two guys right next to each other. But I mean,
I know there's guys out there that can't stand Nico.
But like for instance, the Duke
Has to
UNC
be.
rivalry, which first off, best rivalry in sports. Period.
easily.
There's no way Duke versus UNC is the best rivalry. But I don't think it was players that created that.
And I'm going to start the first rivalry right here. I'm going to say it, and I mean it. Iceberg TV could easily beat Hunter and Trevor in disc golf. I don't think Trevor's good at putting, and I think Hunter has a bad forehand, and I think that I could beat both of these guys in any round on any course. And that's how I'm going to start the Iceberg TV versus Foundation Disc Golf rivalry. Let's see if they see this video. Let's see if they come out with a response, and let's see if we can make something fun and exciting out of this. I'm calling these guys out. I think Trevor needs to step up his putting game. He's given up too many strokes, and I think Hunter, his forehand is not consistent, and I definitely think I can take on both those guys and beat them on any course at any time, any place. Let's get a little rivalry going, just a friendly, fun rivalry to test the waters. And I think it would be really fun for the fans to see. And that's all I have to say about that for now. If you want to become a patron, click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching. This is Iceberg TV, and take care.